Hello, everyone. If you have ever needed to routinely remove a large number of rows from an Excel table or tried to sync deletions from a given data source to Excel, then you may have found the standard delete row action and other Power Automate setups to be too slow and inefficient. That's why today I'm going to share an Excel batch delete template and overview a setup that uses batch processing to automatically sync deletions across data sets.
So if you want to get one of these Excel batch delete templates, then you'll need to go to this page on the Power Automate community site. The link will be in the description, and the title of the thread is just Excel batch delete. If you scroll towards the bottom of the thread, you'll see the various templates available. uh, the main one being the Excel batch delete v2 that just has the simplest functionality. And that's where you can go in, and if you have some set rows in your Excel table that meet some criteria, say it's a status column and all these rows have a status equal to complete, then you can set it up to delete those on a routine basis. um, and again, that's limited to 750 rows. If it goes beyond that, you'll need one of the different templates. And then the second one that I'm going to show today, the Excel batch delete sync, that is for a separate use case where, say, you have two data sets and you want to sync the deletions across the data set. So, you have a set source data set where there's been deletions that have occurred, where rows have been removed on that one, and you want all the rows that have been removed from that one to also be removed from your Excel table. Then this is a flow that'll show you how you can do that. It is also limited though, where your Excel table cannot be more than 100,000 rows, just for the out of the box, how it's currently built. The pagination on a current Excel action is 100,000 rows, so it can't go beyond that. It's not until you get to the Excel batch delete B version template here where I show a pattern of how you can set up a similar sync, and it goes up to 300,000 rows out of the box. But you could also just follow the pattern that's built into that template to expand that by 100,000 each time you extend that pattern. But that is also still limited to 750 rows at a time. However, those batches of 750 rows to delete are in a do until loop. So you can actually delete as many rows as you need to, because it'll just continually loop and continually delete more and more batches of 750 rows at a time. So that's the three templates that I currently have available. And I will start off by going to the Excel batch delete v2. And I will download this because this is the one that shows the essential functions of how the flow works. And I'll go over to Power Automate, go to Import, Import Package Legacy, then I'll click Upload, upload that zip folder that I just downloaded. And once that's done, then I can just go down here to select during import, so I can change out the connection. So that changes out the connection that the template flow uses, so that it's running under your account. And once that's done importing, then you can go to Open Flow right here. And this opens up the flow in our Power Automate instance. And one of the first things I'll do here is just go to this batch delete script, click into the box, click Control A to highlight everything, and then Control C to copy it. And then I can go over to any file in, say, OneDrive. So here I have something called destination table, and I'll just click over on the Automate tab, go to All Scripts, and then here is where I can upload this Office script. So I'll click New Script, get rid of all that, paste it all in, all this batch delete v2, save that script. And now this will be available on any Excel that I open up and on any Power Automate flow where I pull that run script action. So that looks good. Back here, go back to my Power Automate instance, close that. And now I will start setting this up for my flow. So let's go here. Well, I have it set as is in these boxes so that it could avoid a import error. I just put in this dummy placeholder value. If you see up here, it's literally just a dummy value. So I can actually delete this and then it'll clear all those out. So I'm free to start selecting my own files and my own OneDrive. So go here and I'm going to first delete from my destination table file. Select a table, table 1 here, and scroll down to the script action. Do the same thing here. Select my OneDrive. Select destination table. And then here, I can now select that batch delete script that I just uploaded. And then that opens up some new menu options. For here, I just need to copy the table that I have up here. So table name is table 1. And then for primary key column name, this needed to come up here and input primary key column name. So I can just remove all this. And if you see over on this file, I have a primary key column that's just named ID on here. So I'm just going to type in the name here, ID, and I can use that throughout the rest of the flow here. Like for instance, right here where it's asking for that column name, just go my dynamic content here, input that. And then for delete data, this is looking for an array. But the way that it opens up initially, it's set to just collect like an individual field. So I actually need to go over here to this button in the top right that says switch to input entire array. And once I do that, it changes the box a little bit and makes all these other dynamic content where the output is arrays and makes those available to me. So I want to see right here, I want the get only key values because that's the final array that I want to send to the script. And that's all set. So let's close all this up, hit save. And now the flow is successfully imported. The script is set up and I'm ready to adjust it to whatever my needs are. So speaking of my needs for this file, you'll see on this destination file, I have a couple example columns of data here. I also have a status column. And if you see here, it starts at 24,000. If I control shift down, then goes to 24,499. So that's about 500 rows of data where the status is complete. So I'll be looking to delete all these rows where the status is equal to complete. And to do that, all I need to do beyond the initial setup that I showed is go to this filter array. And here I can just input whatever I need to. So, I'll select that status column here, and then I'll type in complete. And so that way, as this flow goes through these things, pick up the primary key column name. It's going to list all the rows in the table, and then it's going to filter down to the rows where the status is equal to complete. And then it's going to select only the primary key column for those records, for those rows, and then send that array of all those primary key values to the script, which will then go through and batch delete everything. Again, note that this batch delete is currently limited to where it will only take up to 750 rows to delete. And you should also note that the way this works, it doesn't actually go row by row to delete everything. It actually updates each row that is meant to be deleted to be a blank row. And that way, it doesn't have to deal with a couple of the technical indexing issues when you delete a row in Excel, then it changes the index of each row, which then means it's harder to pick the next correct row to delete. So to avoid all that, just updating each row to be blank means that it can then at the end of the script just go and use a remove duplicates on all rows that are exact duplicates. So if all the rows that need to be deleted are exactly blank all the way across the board, then it's just going to remove all those at once. So that effectively works the same way as batch delete. The only thing you'll need to watch out for is if for some reason you have a unique use case where you need to keep an Excel table with blank rows in it or with completely duplicate rows in it, which is not a suggested practice when you're doing data management. And moving on from there, you'll see we have this last section, and all this does is it checks if the length of the array sent to the script, so the number of rows sent to the script, checks if that matches the number of rows that were deleted by the script. And if those two don't match up, something must have gone wrong. So it terminates the flow and marks it as failed. And so that you can go back in and check and see what went wrong. All right, let's give this a test run. Oh, looks like I need to turn this on. So let's save, go back out here, turn this on, go back to edit, and just remember what we want this to do on this initial run is delete all 500 of these rows that have been marked complete in the status column. So all those, let's run a test, continue, run flow. Okay, looks like that was successful. If we go back over to our table here, we see that it now starts at that 25,000 and that 500 rows have been deleted. If we go through and check here, see it filtered to rows that were just complete. And then it got all those key values, 24.5 all the way down to 24.999. And it looks like it deleted all those in about 7 seconds here in the script. So that's how the regular batch delete template works. But as I said, we also have this other use case here that I may want to demo, this Excel batch delete sync, for if you want to remove rows from a Excel table that have previously been removed from your source data set, from your other data set. So if you download this, just like I showed earlier with the regular version, and get it into Power Automate like this, then it has a similar system here where I have this placeholder value that's filling up all these values so that it doesn't have an import issue. So I'll just delete that. And now all those are cleared and I have to start filling everything in again. Now, note that this source action, I'm just going to put in source table and use an Excel because that's simplest for the demo. But this could be any type of action, it could be a SharePoint list, could be Dataverse, SQL, or even a API call in a loop that continually adds data to a JSON array. Whatever your source data is, it should work. You'll just later have to take whatever that JSON value output is for whether that be a built-in, like SharePoint list or Dataverse action, or for that API where you may be building that JSON array on the fly. You'll just need to insert that here right after this colon and right before this comma. And then that way it will use that throughout the rest of these actions in the flow. So back to here, filling in wherever my destination Excel file is with the destination table. Go here, table, table one, and this should stay the same because this should just be taking values from whatever you've put in as the destination table. And the only other thing that I have to change here is this insert key column name. I've conveniently made both my files so that the key column name is just ID. If you see here, for the source table, I have ID with it starting at 25.5, and then destination, I have this ID column starting at 25,000. So next, what the flow does is it takes all the things from this settings action and puts it in through a parse JSON. That's just so that it makes it easier to reference in later actions. Um, for instance, when I go to change out the script here, when I go insert batch delete v2, then that's going to open up these other places where I need to input these values. And it's extra convenient here for me to be able to just go down to wherever the parse JSON is and go select destination key column name and insert that as the primary key. So it just makes it easier to reference throughout the rest of the flow. Table name, again, I just have table one. This, again, also switched to a single field. I need to click this button to change to an array. And then I need to get whatever the previous action is to the run script action and input the outputs here for the array that I need to delete. Okay, so that has all my actions set to where I can now save the flow. Oh, looks like I may have missed one. Yes, forgot to put destination. So destination table, there we go. And now that I have it saved, I can explain more of this, what this will be doing. So this entire first section here is just filtering down to the items in the destination table that are not in your source data. So, it's going through all the values that you input in the settings here and selecting just the primary key column for the source data set and the primary key column for the destination data set. And then it's doing an intersection on those two. So it's just taking all the rows that are similar that have the same primary key and creating a list of those shared primary keys here. So if you're familiar with SQL, this would be like a inner join. And then the next action uses the outputs of that inner join of that list of shared primary keys and goes through every value in the destination data set and checks if each row in the destination data set, if that is in the list of shared rows. So, this is all the shared primary keys, and that's just going through each row and saying, hey, does this row's primary key, is it contained in that list of shared keys? And then it's returning all those that are not shared. So this in SQL terms would be kind of like a right join. It's just all those destination rows that are not found in the source data set. So now that I have all that set up, I can go ahead and test run this. And remember, I have this source data table starting at 25,500. And then I have this destination table starting at 25,000. So there's 500 extra rows here that the destination table has that the source table does not have. So when I click run, it should delete all those initial 500 rows. All right, looks like that took a little over a minute. And if I go here to my destination table, they're just updated to where the first row is 25,500, just like the source table. So it deleted those 500 previous rows. If I look through here, looks like most of the time was spent actually just loading the data in. And once it got all the data, it selected just the primary keys in the source, just the primary keys in the destination, found the ones that are similar between the two, and then filtered to just the destination values that need to be deleted because they are no longer found in the source data set. If I go here, you'll see that's just grabbing all the primary keys, starting from 25,000, going all the way down to 25,499. And then we have this output here showing the initial row count, final row count, table size, number of rows deleted, 500. So that all seems to work beautifully. And that's the batch delete sync. So that's it. Again, the template downloads page link is in the video description. I really hope that this has helped you overcome some troubles and challenges you may have been having using Power Automate and Excel to try to automate some of your workflows. Please like and subscribe, and have a good day.